All right, folks, we're back with the Malzberg panel, and rejoining us, reporter for National Review Online, Katherine Timpf, and commentator on religion, society, pop culture, Rabbi Brad Hirschfield. Let me start with you, Katherine. Jeb Bush, there's a new poll out. It's a CNN ORC poll, and they find that Jeb Bush is at the top of the heap when it comes to possible Republican presidential candidates for 2016. 23%, and the next closest, and this is what's the interesting part to me, is Chris Christie. I don't care who it was, but 13%. So the gap is, is 12%. And unfortunately, it's Christie, and then you got Ben Carson with 7, Paul and Huckabee with 6. I mean, I just have to feel that it's way too early, and people just hear the name Bush in the news lately, and I'm telling myself that's why he's at the top.
I agree. He's the only one who's really said anything about, yeah, I'm thinking about doing this. I think he'd have to be delusional in terms of how much self-esteem he would have to actually believe he could win. I don't think anybody's going to get out and vote for Bush right now. Nobody wants to go out and vote for Bush right now. So I don't really think this means anything. We are pretty far out still, and he's the only one who said anything, which is, I think, the only reason why he'd be on top of a poll like this.
Yeah, and thank you for those encouraging words, because I surely don't want Jeb Bush to run for the Republicans. What about it, Brad?
Well, we agree, Steve. I think you're right. Right now, it's very early, and it's the name, and it's that he's a Bush, and so that's where I think that's coming from. I think people see a name. But I think it does point to a real challenge for the Republican Party. There is no clear person who simultaneously feels like they reflect a kind of conservative integrity and has a likely chance at reaching beyond the typical boundaries to put together the number of votes that they need in order to win. And I think that person has not emerged yet and needs to emerge. And I think that's still in the offing. We're a ways from that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Katherine, I mean, I could come up with names, not that I favor these people above others that I could name, but someone who might fit that description would be a Scott Walker, would be a John Kasich, would be, any number of others, and most of them, I think, are governors.
I think looking at someone who's a governor is definitely is interesting in terms of governors being presidents. But, Jeb Bush, I think anybody but Jeb Bush. I think I can maybe even beat out Jeb Bush for the nomination at this point. A lot of people, you hear the names, you hear Rand Paul. He could be a little too polarizing, but even libertarians might actually get out and vote Republican in that sense. Again, I think it's just too early to tell. I might be a little pessimistic, but there's a lot of time still for somebody to have something that makes everybody mad. Or, maybe if you want to be optimistic, do something great that a lot of people can stand behind and unify things a little bit. But there's a lot of time before 2016. So I think it's really too early to tell, and I think Jeb Bush is the only one who's actually said anything, and I don't know if he'll actually be able to follow through with it. It seems like a lot of negativity.
We'll see. Let me ask you, the president has said now that Iran is fighting alongside us against ISIS, or they're fighting ISIS at least in Iraq. The president likes that, and he told NPR it's not out of the question that one day there'll be a U.S. embassy in Tehran. What is wrong with this man, Brad?
Well, what he said was...
I think I did say Katherine. Go ahead, Katherine.
Either way, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm just saying I think I don't know how you can really say with a straight face that you think, a nuclear arms treaty would be a reasonable solution, or that we should be throwing all of the resources into building an embassy there anytime soon. I guess the attitude of never say never in terms of saying, we're not committed to perpetual war is a good attitude. But saying that that's, the direction we'd be headed anytime soon, I think is a ridiculous point of view.
Brad?
No, I think you're right, Katherine. And what he did say was never say never. The more dangerous thing I think we're trading into here is assuming that Iran is a reliable ally in any meaningful way. And I get it. The Middle East is a long history in which my enemy's enemy is my friend. But it's actually a terrible long-term strategy.
In the case of Obama, it's more like my enemy is my friend and my friend is my enemy.
I think that's what's going on. I think it's especially dangerous here, Steve, precisely because this is a religious war. The reason Iran and Iraq are fighting, it's Sunni versus Shia, and I have no idea why we would try and weigh in on that one.
All right, folks. Hey, listen, Katherine and Brad, have a very happy New Year. Thank you both. Very spirited debate. And when we come back, it's going to be time for Gimme 5. And I think the first one up happens to be, well, they're all related to NYPD, so watch on the Steve Malzberg Show.